America 3.0 is really going to take off.
America is in the middle of a major reinvention.
You can fail and start over and fail and start over.
Hard work yields innovation.
It's that immigrant passion, knowledge, commitment.
It's not about the rules.
People are inside the black box.
What makes America tick? This documentary brings you across the United States to figure out what's in the American DNA that allows the nation to remake itself every generation or two. Celebrating the creation of Superman by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Cleveland, along with other long-suffering Rust Belt cities near the Great Lakes, are determined to place themselves back on the map, not just in America, but globally too.
You know, rebirth is a great all-American story, and Cleveland is in the midst of that now. So we've gone through several decades where we haven't been growing as fast as national averages. And you're beginning to find those areas like biomedical, which are high growth areas. And so everyone's beginning to align and realize that our economic future is tied, at least in part, in how well we nurture and manage those areas where we have distinct advantages. And so I think, if you look inside the black box, it's everyone's very optimistic.
The decline in steel production and U.S. manufacturing saw people leaving the Rust Belt cities for jobs elsewhere. But now, Cleveland is getting back on the A-list. Building on its manufacturing base, a health tech and high-tech corridor is powering job growth in and around Cleveland. Hundreds of biomedical firms have sprung up and continue to flourish around the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic.
Everyone wants to be part of something where they can see change over time. And I think everyone loves a comeback story, right? So I know everyone in Cleveland, everyone in Northeast Ohio is really excited. We've got LeBron James back on the Cavaliers basketball team. As a Clevelander, I have to throw in a sports metaphor. So that's, I think, representative of that kind of feeling that the sky's the limit, right? And so that's what's got everyone really focused right now.
Inside the black box is the high-skilled talent that is finding ways to create the jobs for the new economy. And here in Cleveland, we have a real heads up on so many other places because we're very rich in the EDS, educational institutions, and medical institutions. And I think that's very much in the black box. The EDS and meds are driving Northeast Ohio's economy. And so our organization, Global Cleveland, is trying to get people to notice that that's what's here, because we have some very exciting opportunities here. And if you come here, you have a wonderful place to live, a very affordable place to live, and so that's the black box for Cleveland.
Youngstown, like many post-industrial pockets in America, has many challenges. But it's banking on advanced manufacturing to attract well-paying jobs that will strengthen the middle class. Housed within these humble settings is the nation's first manufacturing innovation institute, called America Makes.
3D printing was invented and patented back in the mid to late 80s, and it's grown up in the United States. But it's really the act of laying down material on top of each other, controlled by a three-dimensional design to create a 3D object in space. It's really no different than your traditional inkjet printing, except it continues to layer on top of one another until you get your three-dimensional object.
The Institute has research underway that will help accelerate the speed of 3D printing in metals by a factor of 10. America Makes, through its workforce training programs, has trained thousands of workers in the fundamentals of 3D printing.
We're going to see manufacturing where economies of scale have been completely shifted. Instead of having to produce thousands of a component because it's economically viable, we print one at a time because that's exactly what's necessary. It's going to be a game changer, and it's going to change the game not because we've figured out a better or a more efficient way. It's because we've changed the rules. And the strengths of all the U.S. Manufacturing centers has always been, hard work, Hard work yields innovation, hard work yields result. That really spells out the American work ethic, the American idea of innovation and bringing together new ideas and challenging old concepts and existing methodologies.
People are now, the inventions, the makers. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in your living room, it can happen in a facility like this, or it can happen in a 20-story building in downtown Youngstown.
Pittsburgh, home to Carnegie Mellon, a national research university well known for engineering and robotics. But thanks to one of its alumni, the quiet city of Pittsburgh is about to literally take off to the moon.
Our business is to land on the moon.
At first glance, the location may not say much, but it's the incredible talent pool of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon that convinced John Thornton that this is the place to grow his business, to change the future of moon landing and make it accessible to all.
And here we are in Pittsburgh in a warehouse that used to do steel metal stamping. And now, 100 years later, now we're building the spacecraft that will fly and land on the moon. It's literally turning the page, the next generation of technology here in Pittsburgh. And we have literally reinvented the city right here under this roof. In a fairly nondescript warehouse, it's 8,800 square feet that we have under roof here, and this is where we build our spacecraft. This is where the Griffin lander's coming together, and we're building our business to fly payloads to the moon. We're like a UPS or FedEx to the moon. So Astrobotic's big picture goal is we want to make the moon accessible to countries around the world, to organizations around the world, and ultimately individuals around the world. There have been only 3 nations that have ever landed on the moon. We intend to change that. We would like every nation to be able to land on the moon flying aboard the vehicle with us. We want it to be possible someday for individuals to become a part of a moon mission.
John Thornton could have worked anywhere in the United States, but he chose to stay in Pittsburgh, and through him, jobs are being created. All across America, you'll find visionaries like John. It's in their DNA, that quiet determination to shape the future. Singularity University, located on the campus of NASA Research Park in Silicon Valley, is one of the world's great epicenters of innovation. Here, a community of change makers is at the forefront of driving ideas, impact, and change by leveraging on technologies to address humanity's grand challenges.
America is in the middle of a major reinvention, as happens every 30 or 40 years. Disease, hunger, energy, education, the problems that have bedeviled mankind for hundreds of thousands of years. It's now becoming possible in the next 10 to 20 years to solve all of these problems, to rid humanity of these ills. America is leading the charge on this. The next decade will probably be the most innovative decade in human history. It doesn't cost millions of dollars to start a company anymore. It used to be that when you started a software company, you needed to buy servers, disks. It used to cost $2 or $3 million in hardware. Now all you need is a laptop, which you can buy for $300, and then get all the storage and all of the computing power you need on the web. It's become practically free to start a world-changing company.
San Francisco's annual Launch Festival. It's fast becoming one of the best places to launch your startup, raise money, and learn about starting a company. And here, you get up close and personal with the who's who in industry, a celebration of sorts of the entrepreneurial spirit. Organizers even offer scholarships for deserving applicants to attend, as it's the place to go to if you want to live, breathe, and experience innovation and entrepreneurship. And what is the launch team looking for? Awesome, beautiful products that will make an audience of industry veterans say, wow. Timothy Chen is one of those hopefuls. Pitching his idea of a cooking robot called Cookie, his one wish, to maximize the opportunities that California has to offer.
We want to show our vision of cooking to the world. We're building the next iPod and iTunes of food. So it makes cooking easier, cheaper, healthier than ever before.
Timothy hopes America will serve as a platform for the future growth of his company.
We want to make sure that we do a great job in the American market first before we go overseas, because you have to make sure that you deliver a great product, then you can actually go to many different places.
There are many others like Timothy, all keenly pursuing the American dream, which is strong in California. Stanford University, thanks to its strategic location, is situated in close proximity to nearly every major tech outfit in Silicon Valley.
So it's a place where people who want to create new businesses come and learn and get the tools of building a business, building a new venture with an innovative business model. Evolved here in the Valley over the years, there's an ecosystem that supports that innovation where talented people who have innovative ideas have the tools to sort of move those ideas into impactful ventures.
Quashing bad ideas without stifling innovation. From these corridors of learning, many have ventured forth into the big world, knowing full well the journey ahead for their own startups will be riddled with potholes.
The real secret sauce of Silicon Valley is okay to fail. That people have to be adventurous and willing to take a risk, but not afraid to fail. And here, the culture is that you can fail and start over and fail and start over. It's not held against you by the society, it's not held against you by the government.
This mindset of being okay to fail in America remains the key pull factor.
The biggest part for me is the way that people celebrate creativity here, and the way that they celebrate hard work, and the way that they celebrate people taking risks. Here, it's a badge of honor if you fail. My grandparents were immigrants, a lot of my friends, their parents or grandparents were immigrants, and they instilled a certain amount of resiliency because they came here with nothing on their backs, just the clothes on their backs and nothing else. And I think that that's a cornerstone of America.
That 52% of the startups in Silicon Valley were founded by immigrants, 52%. When you come over here, and now you talk about this being ground zero for innovation, the most innovative place on this planet, more than half of the people here are like me, who were born abroad, who happened to come to America to study, who happened to now catch the entrepreneurial bug. It's called the American dream. And then they became part of American culture and society. The beauty of America is that it welcomes immigrants, it assimilates them.
America is and always has been a nation of immigrants. And nowhere is it more evident than here in California. Celebrating the ethnic diversity and accepting people for who they are has been built into the philosophy of this school in San Jose.
Here in Silicon Valley, we're very blessed to have immigration from all throughout the world. Old immigration, new immigration, it's been a very important part of the history of California.
Bulldog Tech partners with iNation, which is Immigrant Nation for short, and one of the special writing projects that students get involved with is called One to Many.
We are an immigrant nation, so the students are telling their stories, their family stories, through different media. They're creating shadow boxes, they are mapping their family's journey to America. I think what we hope that the kids understand is that we all kind of come from the same area, the same beliefs and values. All of our parents or grandparents, great-grandparents came here for the same reason, and that is the American dream.
I definitely think that the rest of the nation can learn a lot from places like California and New York, who have larger, diverse populations. And maybe look to us to see the way that we were able to integrate those populations a little bit more effectively and accept those populations, not just be tolerant. I mean, being tolerant is the very least that we can do as a nation. Being understanding is what we should strive to do.
However, immigration remains a politically sensitive issue, a debate that has left America divided along racial, ethnic, and political lines.
The best and the brightest from the world come to our colleges and institutions and universities here in the United States, and yet because of immigration laws, they have to leave, and the only way they can stay is to be sponsored by a company or a business to keep them here. But getting companies to understand how important that is really a tough business, because they think that it's expensive, it takes time and energy to fill out the paperwork, and so they don't want to do it. But again, that's what Global Cleveland is about, that we're trying to convince companies how very important it is to sponsor foreign-born talent so that they can stay here. We have to find ways to work around our broken immigration system. Here in Cleveland, within a 50-mile radius of the city of Cleveland, we have 3,000 open jobs for IT workers. So we have to fix the system, because if we do, America 3.0 is really going to take off.
And that's exactly what cities like Cleveland are yearning for: immigrants to fill the numerous job vacancies.
We'd love to see more visas issued for people who can come here and take jobs that we have open, that we may not have people ready to go into those jobs. Our companies are growing at such a fast rate, especially in biotechnology, that we have the ability to get anyone a job who comes here that has a background in any of the life sciences.
The cold weather aside, Cleveland has several things going for it. The cost of living in Cleveland is considerably below the national average, and certainly lower than the ultra-expensive coastal regions. An increasingly youthful, educated workforce is steadily moving into the region, drawn in by an elaborate ecosystem that's promoting the biomedical field and rewarding entrepreneurship.
We think if you can get children tuned in and aware of entrepreneurship as a viable career path, that's all for the greater good. So we're working with children as young as 8 or 10 years old in programs such as Lemonade Day, which is a time-honored tradition here, selling lemonade. So teaching children what it means to budget, what supplies they need, even going before loan boards, borrowing money, paying that money back, and then staging their business on certain days, during the warmer weather here. So it starts with those kinds of programs, and then we continue on up through the teen years and on into college. We have almost every higher ed institution here in Northeast Ohio has an entrepreneurship program.
The role of nonprofits like Jumpstart is also gaining traction.
So a quick A and B comparison, or before and after. In 2004, when Jumpstart was originally created, those companies looking for the earliest stage capital, $100,000 to $500,000, there was only a handful of companies in our region that were actually able to access those kinds of dollars in our home region. That's a huge challenge. Last year, in 2014, there was 87 companies in Greater Cleveland that were able to access that earliest stage seed and pre-seed money. So when we've created an ecosystem, an environment where first-time entrepreneurs with big ideas actually have the ability to access capital from organizations like Jumpstart and a dozen others in Northeast Ohio that none of us existed 10 years ago.
Human talent is critical for the industries of tomorrow, but is the current education system across America doing enough to ensure students are future ready?
There is no one America. So when we talk about education, we have to recognize that education is very local and it is also driven by states and the U.S. policy at the national level. I think one of the travesties of traditional education is that we presume that we know the skills that a student is going to need for a job 10 years from now. And I think it's just not known. What I do think we know is that if students don't know how to think their way out of a problem that hasn't been solved, we're doomed.
Perhaps there's still hope. If approaches like those underway at Bulldog Tech can see their way into more classrooms across America, it might just turn things around.
In traditional schools, they give you a paper and they just tell you to learn this. But in Bulldog Tech, we have tools such as iPads and computers. And it really opens up our minds about information that we're trying to learn that's relevant to what's happening in the world right now. Soon I'll have a job that doesn't exist right now, because as we look at it today, there's jobs right now that didn't exist 10 years ago.
But how does one even know what the jobs of the future will shape up to be?
What's really interesting is we're seeing a combination right now of engineering and art. People who are very creative, but that are also very capable at doing math, are starting to be those that are really embracing this idea of flexible design. So jobs of the future are going to be folks who are creative, folks who understand design. The technology continues to grow, and we got to make sure that we have a workforce that grows with it.
Celebration of being unique. I think that's the thing that makes us special, is that you want to be different. If you want to innovate, innovation kind of automatically assumes that you're doing something different than the status quo. And if you build that into a culture, then that's incredibly powerful. So I think that's what's inside the black box.
People are inside the black box. And I think it gets to the core of the American spirit and just the culture and the mentality and the idea that dreams can be achieved. As crazy and wild as they might sound on the face of it, if you put your nose to the grind wheel and you get the work done and you dedicate yourself to it, you can achieve your dream too.
We're seeding the world with ideas, with innovation. We're helping the world make the world a better place, and helping the world now lift itself above the problems that have plagued humanity and better itself. This is all coming from America.
Resilience and perseverance. People believing in their very own American dream. That's America. However, despite it being called the United States of America, there is no one America. Each center, city, and state strives to build and care for its own. The rich diversity is evident as each center challenges the other centers, not willing to toe the line. Perhaps this is what makes America tick.